And welcome here to Talk FCB, and welcome back here to the channel, guys, for another video today. And of course, like I did a few days ago, today we are going to be discussing transfers once again. The reason for that is, it's the international break. The papers haven't got an awful lot more to report on, so they've got a bit of transfer news coming up for us. And over the past few days, we've been linked to three players in particular: Antony Marshall of Manchester United, Dele Alli of Tottenham, and today Antoine Griezmann of Atletico Madrid. So we're going to be having a look at all the reports, the likelihood of those three joining Barcelona, and exactly what is being said in the daily sports papers in Barcelona. So we're going to kick off with Antony Marshall, the young winger from Manchester United, and we're going to be having a look at what Mundo Deportivo said about him on Saturday. So like I said, it is the international break. The papers have been going over quite a lot of things. They've been covering, of course, the international football. But on Saturday, like I say, MD did report on Marshall, and they did report on Barcelona's interest in the Frenchman. A player, of course, brought in from Monaco. It was a massive fee at the time. There's a lot of add-ons included on that. And at the time, people were saying, you know, did United pay too much for Marshall? Just a young player, unproven. But since he's come to the Premier League, particularly under Louis van Gaal, he had a really, really strong season. He's been improving. At times, Mourinho doesn't always put a lot of faith in him. Quite a few times, Mourinho has come out publicly and criticised Marshall, and I think that's very, very interesting, because I don't really think there's too much in this report from Mundo Deportivo. They basically said that Barcelona are monitoring the progress of Marshall, and that he was basically on a list of players that Barcelona were tracking very, very closely. It said that Barcelona are very impressed by him. They like his quality, they like what he can bring to the team, and they're also very impressed because he's still just 21 years old. He turns 22 in December. And like I said, the interesting thing about this story is the fact that I don't think Mourinho is fully convinced by Marshall. You know what Mourinho's like. He likes players who work very, very hard. Sometimes he can be more defensive minded, and Marshall possibly doesn't have that quite same outlook. And I think that's very, very interesting, because this season particularly, Jose Mourinho hasn't always put the faith in Marshall. He's not a player that's constantly in the starting line. For instance, in the Premier League this season, Marshall has made 6 appearances, but 5 of those appearances coming off the bench. He's made just 1 Premier League start. When he has been involved, though, he really has influenced the game. He's shown a lot of quality in the Premier League in those 5 appearances and that 1 start. He's scored 3 goals. He's created 2 assists. So I think he's certainly making progress at United. He's certainly trying to fulfill his potential as a player, which I think is very, very high. Marshall has got a lot of quality. He's a player that's very, very comfortable on the ball. He's very, very tidy in his overall play. He doesn't give away the ball too often. He's quite strong as well. He's a very, very quick player, but he's quite strong as well. His physique is very, very good. And what I do like about him is he can play mainly on the left as his preferred side, but he can cut in as well. And that's certainly the Barcelona way, isn't it? We don't just have traditional wingers that look to get down wide and keep their width and cross the ball in. We like wingers who can possibly become inside at times, be inverted, and get involved in the overall play. And Marshall is certainly a player that can do that. I do like him as a player. I don't think right now there's any firm interest. He's been mentioned a few times over the past sort of 6 months. I don't think right now Marshall is a player that we're very, very interested in, but I am pleased to see at least that he is on a list of objectives. I think if we could get him, it would be a great signing. The big question would be, though, for me, is United open to selling? Because if they're not, you've seen it with De Gea, you've seen it with players in the past, they're very, very difficult at the moment, you know, with the resources that they have, a difficult club to deal with. So it's going to be interesting to see how this one develops, whether our interest in Marshall goes a bit beyond what is just currently speculation, and it's going to be interesting as well to see how Mourinho uses Marshall in the remainder of the season. Will he put a bit more trust in him? I think if he doesn't look to start him more often, Marshall could possibly look to leave, and Barcelona potentially could be a destination for the young Frenchman. And like I say, the second player that we are going to be discussing today is Dele Alli of Tottenham, and it's very, very interesting because the very day after that report from Mundo Deportivo on Antony Marshall, Sport came out the very next day with a big cover saying Operation Dele Alli. So it seems like it's a sort of guessing game at the moment. That's why I'm treating these rumours with a bit of scepticism. I don't think there's an awful lot going on. I think they're probably struggling for news, and these are a bit of a coincidence to sort of be publishing these kind of reports, but I still think it's interesting to go through what they've got to say. And certainly with Dele Alli, Sport said that Barcelona were very interested in signing him. Possibly next summer he could be a target. And they did go on to say that Dele Alli would be an alternative to signing Philippe Coutinho. If Coutinho wasn't possible next summer, potentially we could go down the route of Dele Alli. The first thing that I would say though is, if we can't be dealing with Coutinho and Liverpool, dealing with Tottenham is going to be equally, if not even harder than Coutinho's Liverpool, because Tottenham under Daniel Levy are very, very difficult to negotiate with. They would demand an extremely high price for somebody as young, as talented as Dele Alli is. Just 21 years old, an England international. He had a fantastic season last season, and the problem with this is, as talented as he is, as good as he is, as brilliant as he's been in the Premier League, there's two things. I don't personally think that he'd suit La Liga. I don't think he would suit our style of play. I don't think he's really the technical player that maybe people build him up to be. I think he's absolutely phenomenal in Tottenham's team. He works hard, he fits in well with them, he works very, very well with Harry Kane, and I think people are sort of under a bit of an illusion about Dele Alli. He's not a centre midfielder. He is like Coutinho in some ways. He's not somebody who's going to come into our team and play in that midfield role comfortably in a 3. He's much, much more advanced than that. He plays higher up the pitch. He likes playing in a sort of number 10 role, possibly just behind the striker, and that is why he gets involved in so many goals. In and around the box, he's brilliant at that. You know, he can score long range goals, he's good from set pieces, he's strong as well, like Martial in some ways. He's got a bit of pace about him, but he's also very, very strong, and that's why he suits the Premier League for me. I don't really think Dele Alli is somebody that we need. I don't think he would suit our style of play, and I certainly don't think that he'd be able to come in and sort of play in a 3 in midfield. I think he's a much more advanced player than that in the field. I don't think he's tactically switched on that we would need, and for that reason I don't think we should be signing him, because he's going to cost an enormous amount of money. He really, really is. And this season, to be honest, he hasn't quite played yet at the high level that he showed last season. Last season he was brilliant in terms of his goals, in terms of his assists. Tottenham had a great season, and they've started well this season as well, but Dele Alli hasn't really been on it. 7 Premier League appearances so far, 2 goals and 1 assist so far in the league, so he hasn't quite got going in the league campaign yet, and it's going to be interesting to see how he does in the remainder of the season. And more interestingly than that, at the World Cup with England, how is he going to perform there? A lot of pressure on his shoulders. He's sort of the up-and-coming player looking to lead that England side along with Harry Kane. It's going to be interesting to see how he performs on the biggest stage of all. So we're going to be interested to see how that sort of develops. I think this story from Sport is a bit speculation. I don't think there's anything to this right now. He's not really an alternative Coutinho. They're very different players. Coutinho can play wide, you know, he can cut inside. Coutinho at a push could play in the 3 in midfield. Alli is a different kind of player. He's a number 10 player or a sort of false 9 just behind the striker kind of role. He likes to play towards the edge of the box. He likes to be more advanced, and he doesn't like too much tactical responsibility. That's why I don't really think he'd be a suitable alternative for Coutinho, and I don't really see him fitting in our team, despite the huge talent that he obviously has. And the final player that we are going to be looking at in today's video, like I mentioned at the start, is going to be Atletico Madrid's Antoine Griezmann. 26 years old now. He's been in La Liga for a number of years, first of all with Real Sociedad, then he got his transfer to Atletico Madrid, and under Diego Simeone, he really has gone to a different level. He's become a central player, he's become a main striker, and he is scoring for fun. Not quite this season, he hasn't quite started off as well as maybe he could have, and last season as well, his goal tallies weren't as high as he'd be used to, but you've got to remember, Atletico Madrid, he's got to do a lot of work. They don't always score a load of goals. In a different team, in a different system, he could really be unlocked and unleashed, and he could be an absolute animal in front of goal. Mundo Deportivo, on the same day that Sport came out with that article about Dele Alli, they came out with their own headline about Antoine Griezmann, and it basically says, Antoine Griezmann, #1 objective of Barcelona next summer. That is our priority going into next summer. We want to sign Atletico's Antoine Griezmann. And what's interesting about this one is, obviously Griezmann was linked quite heavily in the summer, but it was always known really that Griezmann wouldn't be going anywhere. Atletico Madrid had a transfer ban, they couldn't bring in anyone to replace him, and what they've now done is they've agreed to bring back Diego Costa. He's going to be coming back to the club from Chelsea. They've agreed the fee, it's all done. He's going to sign for them in January once their ban is lifted, and I think that really does leave the end for Griezmann. He's been brilliant in Atletico, he's always said that he'll try and stay there as long as Simeone is there, but I think next summer he's going to leave the club. Whether it's to Barcelona, I'm not quite sure. If it's not Barca, it'll be Man Man United, they're very, very interested in him as well. What it says here in Mundo Deportivo is basically that Barcelona would like to agree a deal with him before the World Cup starts, and on July the 1st, his release clause next summer will be 100 million euros. It'll go down, it'll be available, and I think for that price, a lot of clubs are going to be interested, because you've got to remember, the modern market is absolutely crazy. 100 million is being thrown around here, there, and everywhere, and I think Griezmann for 100 million, 26 years old, he's still got the prime of his career ahead of him. He could be a very good signing for any club. What I would say about Barcelona's interest is, though, it depends what sort of route we want to go down. If we want to put all our faith in Griezmann, because I think, and I've said it before, I think next summer is the summer that we're going to sign a big name forward. Whether it's Griezmann, whether it's somebody like Dele, we're going to spend a lot of money on a forward player, and this is why I can understand these reports. They were made in the summer about Griezmann, but like I said, he was never going to go anywhere. But I think next summer, these reports are going to continue, and I really do believe that we are interested in somebody like Griezmann and that sort of profile. This season, of course, 5 La Liga starts so far, just the 2 goals. He was sent off in Atletico's first game of the season against Girona, so his season has got off to a bit of a bumpy start. He's made 2 Champions League appearances. He scored a penalty kick against Chelsea in their last game. That one, though, ended in a defeat. And I do like the way Griezmann plays. I don't think he maybe seamlessly fit into the Barcelona style of play. What could help him out is the fact that at Sociedad, he was always deployed as a sort of winger who would cut inside, who could score goals, who could create goals. Now he's gone to Atletico Madrid. He's played a lot more centrally. He's worked a lot harder, and there's no doubt about it, that would have helped him. That's improved him as a player. Simeone is really getting a lot out of him and has really improved his overall game. And I think Griezmann would be an interesting signing. I wouldn't go all out right now and say it would be an unbelievable signing that he would fit in easily. I think it would take some time, but I think there's worse players out there. We could be targeting a lot worse players than Antoine Griezmann. On his day, he is still a formidable striker. 26 years old, though, of course, there's a few years left in him. Not a great amount. You could go for somebody like Dele, who's a lot younger, but I think somebody like Dele would cost a lot more than 100 million. I think the price tag is good. I think the fee is good. The fact that he's established in La Liga is a good thing as well, and I wouldn't be surprised to see these rumours continue right up until next summer because of that buyout fee going down to 100 million. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens. But as always, guys, I really want to know your thoughts on Martial, on Dele Alli, on Griezmann. A lot of people have mentioned Timo Werner as well. He's another player that we were linked to quite a few weeks ago. There's nothing really more on him right now, but he's having a very good season once again with RB Leipzig. So just let me know your thoughts down below, guys. What do you think about these possible rumours? I thought once again I'd bring them to you and see what you guys thought. I do like discussing transfers with you because I know it is a very, very hot topic. We all want to know who's coming in, what sort of improvements we can make to our squad, even though, of course, this is quite a few months away now. But it's always good to plan and see what the papers are saying, so I just thought I'd bring you this video today, guys. So let me know your thoughts down below. I'll be back very, very soon with more videos, of course. But until then, as always, Vesca El Barça.